Hey Liz,
Hey, Steve, how are you?
not too bad. What's up?
Just hanging.
All right, so this is new. I'm trying this out. Going to see how it all works out. Uh, what I'm going to do, what I want to do is I'm trying to get people to explore a little bit where they are musically as fans and try to figure out how they got there. So
Awesome.
now I did give you some a couple of just a few questions beforehand. I'm already going to go off script. So
Okay.
you're going to have a little bit of, sort of play with me. If you were to think of yourselves in terms of a percentile of music fans, if you put yourself at 75, that would mean 25% of the population would be like music is more important to them, 75% less important to them. Where would you put yourself on that percentile list of importance in music compared to the average general population?
Sorry, what was the percentages
I know.
again?
I should probably start with something that's a little bit easier. So let's say,
No, I was gonna say like whatever is a really high number when it comes to music because I feel like music is my life. Like I
music
love
is your life.
I live I live
So
for music. So
what percentage of the population would music be less important, and what percentage would be more important? Would you put yourself at a 99?
so 99 is a high, right?
A 99 means only 1% of the
Okay. So
population.
maybe like I'd say maybe 85%.
85. So 15% of the general population, remembering there are people that don't like music at all. Music is totally
Yeah.
unimportant. You'd put yours, okay, it's
And
not
I'd say
important.
the only reason why I picked that number is because at this moment in time, music is not my full-time gig. I have
Right.
a day job. And I think my goal during pandemic right now is eventually I would like to make music my full-time gig.
Got it. Got
Yeah.
it. So why do you think you're at such a high number? Have you ever thought about it? Has it ever occurred to you?
I've never thought about it in percentages, but
Yeah.
I would have to say music is something that just always resonated with me. I didn't start playing I didn't start playing music in a band till I didn't pick up an instrument till I was 23 and I started playing band at 26. But even from the time I was a little kid and even in high school when I didn't play instrument, I didn't even think it was an option because my parents were always like, "Oh yeah, do something practical, right?"
Yeah.
um, but yeah, no, music's just been such a huge part of my life from the time I can remember.
All right. So let's go back onto the script of what I told you I was going to ask you. So what's your earliest musical memory,
I think,
experience, something that jumps out from you the first time you remember music being something of importance?
yeah, well, music's always been it's they've like music's always been something that's been played at my house. I've got two brothers. Mondo is in the group, so a lot of you know who he is. And so I'd say my earliest memory I'd say, of me deliberately listening to music,
Yeah.
the Beatles' Red album, and
Red album. So that would be
so
the greatest hits
you got it. It's a
with them kind of looking
two
them
record compilation with an Apple
right. And
logo
there
in
was a
the
blue
center.
one. There was a
And
blue
the
one
blue,
also.
so we had red, blue, white, and brown.
Okay.
And so yeah, and so I was always so the Red album, and I remember there's a couple like I think because I was so young, and I'm probably like maybe 7, 8, like when I'm thinking about this memory, where I actually so my brother would always play these albums, but that was the first time I actually took the record and played it myself and actually just sat and listened and read the words and sang along because I already knew all the words. But yeah.
Okay. So I Beatles Red compilation. Was that the earlier one? I'm trying to remember if that's there's one that was based on time. There's
Yeah.
a red and a blue. I don't know the
Red's
brown.
got like Love Me Do and
Got it.
Paper. Yeah, it's got like their earlier hits. Blue is more like Abbey Road and
Right.
yeah.
What's so now let's take you to figure where your most recent musical memory is?
Well,
Something,
okay.
or whatever, however you want to answer that.
Well, daily, I've been playing the cello. So that's my cello right there.
Uh,
I picked it
Beautiful,
up.
beautiful instrument. Love that.
I actually picked it up. I picked one up on Facebook Marketplace for like $150. I fell in love and I actually bought a nicer one. But that's been so now it's actually funny because I'm listening to a lot of classical music.
Ah,
Um, but at the same time, I'm also listening to a lot of like cello, like rock versions of like cello rock
right,
version stuff, and I
right.
think that's sort of where I want to go with it.
Okay.
But it's yeah, but classical music is it's like I'm actually going for my walks right now, and just that's what I was listening to. I was just listening to some Bach on my
Okay.
walk.
So going from the Beatles until cello, where these the kind of as bookends, some point in between there, I'm guessing, because most people have some sort of an aha moment, a moment when they go, everything I thought I knew about music is not right because of a certain event, a certain person, a certain circumstance. Can you think of your most significant aha moment where your musical appreciation life pivoted from one direction and goes, boop, now I'm kind of facing in another direction and a whole new world has opened up to me?
My brain just raced a million places with that question. It's a great question.
Yeah.
I think my aha moment was when I started playing music.
So
So
what,
it was,
what would that have been?
so I was 23 years old. My roommate brought home an acoustic guitar. It was her sister's guitar, and it was really hard to play because the action was really high, and it hurt my fingers like hell. But I played every day, like from the moment she brought it home. Like I would wake up in the morning and play before I went to work, and then me and her we would play music until we went to bed. And she was playing a little like Yamaha piano thing, so we were both
Right.
learning at the same time. We had an empty apartment, so we didn't have any furniture. We had our instruments, a bookcase, a 14-inch TV in the front of the apartment, and there was just music books scattered all over the place.
Okay, so I got a question. So when you started to play, did the way you perceive music change?
Ab- Absolutely.
What was
Um,
what was a change in perceive? Like if you can, I know it's hard to describe in words, but I'd love to
yeah.
know what the change in the perception was.
So I think it's funny because when I was younger, I used to always like lyrics were my thing. I loved the words for
I
songs.
am a lyrics guy too.
Yeah,
That's
and I think me and you have we share Tears for Fears of Hurting, right?
yes, yes, yes.
Um, and and like that, like in Depeche Mode, and yeah, just like the lyrics for music. Like I'm not a big Rush fan because I can't stand like Getty's voice is like a nails on chalkboard for me.
You are a woman after my own heart.
But their lyrics, like I remember
Yes,
reading the
yes,
lyrics for
yeah.
Free Will and like just being like all the world's it like yeah, like all the world's indeed a stage and like limelight and like all of these their lyrics are so amazing. So
I'm imagining
uh,
the lyrics love is coming before you're picking up. Um,
yes.
yeah,
So
I'm
going
trying to get the timeline. I'm trying to figure
yeah.
out.
So
So
going back so going to how it connected is when I started playing guitar, then all of a sudden I'm listening to like because it was an acoustic guitar. I just got right into acoustic guitar. But I think the biggest mind blower for me was when I started playing bass because and that's a whole story within itself. But that I don't think I ever really listened to bass lines before. I listened to vocal melodies first,
mhm.
and then I would hear like I knew guitar solos. So I think I have a very melodic ear.
Yeah,
And then when I started playing bass, all of a sudden I'm like these songs that I've known my entire life. Like for example, the other day I was listening to Frankie Goes to Hollywood. What's that? What's the song? The one where they're fighting in the
Two Tribes.
yeah Two Tribes. And I like just listening. Like I'm like I never just listened to the bass line, and trying it out. And
Yeah.
Duran Duran, like my favorite band, right? So And then trying out, thinking, oh yeah, I didn't really think they were talented musicians. Like I didn't know. I just thought they were like good-looking guys. And then
Right.
realizing, like, holy crap, I can't play this. This is like way hard, right? But
Mhm.
and just listening to music in a different way, like where again I sang along with the words for so long, and I listened to the vocal, the guitar, but now all of a sudden I'm listening to the grooves and these melodic bass lines that actually sing too, but not even just the, I guess melodic always, it always stuck to me, but I think it's the groove part, like I never just, yeah.
So I asked you if the picking up of the music changed your perception. Um, I'm also interested in if it made you change the way it makes you feel, that the way the music makes you either evokes emotion, gives you goosebumps, gives you a physical reaction. Did you, first of all, maybe let's go back when you were a kid listening to the Beatles, did it make you feel something? Did it make you do something? Did that develop in a way because of the musicianship?
Well, it's funny because my favorite song off of the Red album was Eleanor Rigby,
Yes.
which is quite, which is sort of a full circle now, because I think that is the reason why I play cello today.
Yeah.
Now that's a very sad song. Like it's just
Yes.
sad, and I don't know. It just made me. There's just something about that that just it's like I don't know. I think it gave me goosebumps. Like how beautiful, just beautiful it was, right?
Right.
And I remember like re-listening, like listening deliberately sometime in my teens and realizing, oh wow, there's no drums in that song. Wow, there's no like other instruments other than like strings, right?
Right.
And it just blew my mind. But yeah, so it just, there's something. I am a sad song addict. I love sad songs. Like
Really, really, because you don't
yeah,
seem like the type of person from, I don't know you that well, but I know you
yeah.
sort of, that's a little surprising to me. So is
Hmm.
it that you want to feel sad? Is it that you want to feel sad, that you makes you happy when you hear the sadness? Like I'm just curious.
Yeah, well, I think, well, like, so I know I come across as as an upbeat person, but I do have like major history with depression
Yeah,
and sadness and like some childhood trauma and stuff. And I think that the thing with music is that it made me feel less alone, right? So
yeah,
when somebody could say, or somebody could write the words of exact, which is Tears for Fears the Hurting.
yeah,
Somebody wrote those words, and those words were exactly what I was feeling in high school.
right.
Exactly. And they just nailed it. So, and because at the time I was still like, I would never tell anybody I had mental health issues or I was depressed
Well,
because,
nobody did in those days.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Now,
Um,
now it's we're thankfully we're a
yeah,
little more out there, but back in that time, nobody talked about it.
absolutely. And I think that that's when music became my friend. Like it was like the thing, like I loved my best friends. I had really amazing friends in high school, but I could never share my sadness with them. So yeah, so the words of bands saying what I'm feeling. And then it wasn't just the words, it was the music. I feel like the music would be like evoking, like without the words it would be evoking the emotions that I was feeling. And
Right,
I think that, yeah, so when I listen to music it's a very emotional experience for me.
right. So it's I find this, like, to me this is all really fascinating, this kind of stuff, like
Hmm.
music as your friend, like it almost taking on, it's a person in your life or a voice or a mentor or somebody that's, maybe there's not the advice that you're getting necessarily from your peers or your family or your friends at the time, and then there's this voice and it sounds beautiful or it sounds awful or it sounds hurt or it sounds angry or it sounds whatever, and very much telling us what we need to hear at that moment and sending us down a path of healing or solving a problem or doing something like that. So I
Mhm.
find that really, really interesting.
Yeah, I think on a personal level, that was it. But then I think the other reason why I love music and loved music at the time is because it was also something that connected me with my friends.
So that was where I was going to go with it. Like,
Yeah,
because you see kind of music as a friend, and then there's also music as a connector to a friend.
yeah.
Did music play a part of like your identity in terms of, well, this to be part of this music or be part of this friend group, this type of music, you have to like Duran Duran, or you have to like this. Was that part of it?
Absolutely. Like I feel like yeah, like grade 8 was Duran Duran, right? And that was those
Right.
are my best girlfriends, and we all had our favorite. Like I loved John, and somebody else and somebody else
Well,
loved Dick, and then another person loved John, and then we were fighting over him.
John was dreamy, that's for sure.
He was
No
gonna be my
question about
husband. But anyways, like yeah. So and then when I went into grade 9, the summer between grade 8 and grade 9, my aunt took me to get my hair cut. And I think that was a pivotal moment because I got my side shaved and I walked into my new high school with Susie in the bed. Well, I was more of a Robert Smith fan, but I had the whole do.
it. Wow.
And I think that sort of dictated who my first friend group in high school
Isn't
was,
that
right?
isn't that weird? Was that something like, I want to present this to my new situation and attract these people?
You
Or
know,
was
I
it like,
was
I
so
like this
shy. Yeah,
haircut and those who kind of came?
I was so shy when I was in grade school. Like I had my hair parted in the middle. Like it's actually I've always just had long hair, and I was so shy. And it was my aunt who put like I didn't choose that haircut. Like she just kind of threw me in there and said, "I have this friend that'll do something cool for you." And it kind of she kind of I feel like she chose my a bit of my destiny for me because with that haircut all of a sudden it attracted like it attracted the new wavers, the punkers and the skinheads, right?
Right.
So yeah, and so then that was my first social group, and that's where I like at that time just it was all it was I was all Depeche Mode, the Smiths. I went from yeah Duran Duran, but then I started started being a bit more of a Duran Duran snob, and then picking more of the new wave, like the because
Right.
at the time
Well,
people.
I mean, I think Duran Duran was very much a gateway,
Mhm.
right? It's like it was a new type of music, very synthesizer oriented, very but once they caught on, man, did they ever catch on.
Oh yeah.
And hard to consider yourself different or cool, like out there and different if you're kind of going down the Duran Duran path. But so where did that take you? Like from Duran Duran,
So
you did Sushi and the
it was
Banshees, and
yeah, I was like all into like Bauhaus, like really like the dark music, I would say. And that was like grade 9. But then it's funny because in grade 10, I started hanging out with the classic rockers. And I traded in my all black hairspray look for a lumber jacket, and and I started working at a gas station, and like at my first job I was pumping gas, and so all of those guys, they were all rock-ons, and so I started wearing so I wore a kilt because I went to St. Joe's Memorial Park. I went to an all girls Catholic high school.
yeah,
But at the time, the way to express yourself was anything out of uniform. So then, yeah, I wore lumber jacket, my construction boots because I was working at the gas station, running
right,
shoes.
right. The
And
Kodiak,
that's when I got
the
totally into.
Kodiaks, the Grebs.
I needed to have steel-toed boots to pump gas.
So what buttons did you have?
Buttons.
I'm sure
Oh,
you had buttons on your car.
oh yeah, no, Duran Duran like all the way. Like my purse was all Duran Duran, Depeche Mode, Tears for Fears, all that.
Yeah,
But yeah, but then I'd say I traded that in grade 10 to I don't know. It was like I said, it's like I did a complete turnaround, and it's funny because the all those records were already at home because Mondo had the classic rock stuff.
right.
So
So you bring up Mondo. Mondo's your brother, for those who don't know.
Yeah.
And he, as I know him, and I know that he is very, very much into music and a very diverse music person. So he must have been a bit of an influencer.
Oh, absolutely. So when I was really young, it was the Beatles and Kiss, like Kiss,
Ah,
totally.
I
And then it was just Rush, and it was like it was torture for me, right? But I did appreciate them. And then he got into this whole phase where he was just like listening to Yngwie Malmsteen and like guitar, like Satriani and all that stuff. But and then he went all ELP, ELP, yes, and that. But I see. I never got into prog, right? It
right,
was. I just thought it was just wait. Like I think my ear is just so melodic that busy music, like it's just too busy for me.
right.
Um,
If now with a more mature palate, if you found good stuff, if you might appreciate it more.
when I was younger, I used to think it was just guys jacking off on their instruments.
Well,
Seriously, but but now
censoring.
I have a
That's
full
that's
I have a full appreciation of
that
what
is
it takes.
a quote. That's fantastic. And so Mondo was, so he didn't really, was it more of a, just like a, a love of music that he kind of like,
Yeah,
but
I think music
not the
for him was.
content of the music.
Yeah, no, I think it was similar, but I think because I like he likes to get into like intellectual conversations and all that. So, like this was him in high school, you know. So I
Right,
think he was being all smart with the music that he loved, and
right.
like,
Is he older or younger?
yeah, he's like 6 years older than me.
Oh, he's
So
6 years older than you.
yeah, so
Yeah,
he was. I think he was like writing for the music mag, like his high school magazine and stuff like
right.
that. So I think
So he must
yeah.
have been like, like Mr. Cool, writing all this, like liking all of this sort of obscure, I like this obscure music. And it might have been a little ahead of where you're like Duran Duran, and he's like, I can't think of who it would be at the time, but a little bit more obscure, a little bit more, let's say CFNY, the Toronto, like at that point.
Yeah, no, like I don't even know if radio was playing a lot of this stuff. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, other than like, with Q107 once in a while playing like the poppy yes stuff, but he was
right.
listening to the more the
Right,
stuff
obscure
that didn't get
stuff.
a lot of radio, like the one the song that lasts an entire side of an album type of music, right?
Yeah. So now you're a musician, part-time, looking to do it full-time. And you said that your aha moment was when you started, is after all of this stuff. But it sounds like you're pretty musically established at this point when you pick up the guitar or bass.
Yeah, well, I've been playing a long time now, but for a long time I considered myself a hack. Like I didn't because I didn't go to music school and
Yeah,
I
but
learned from books, right? I
don't a
learned
lot of
before
people
YouTube.
like, isn't that every
But
artist? That's every artist, right? Everybody thinks
what's
they're,
that?
that's like every artist. Every person
Sorry.
involved in the arts. Sorry, you froze there. Every artist thinks they're a hack.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too, and I think it's because I like again I have. It's funny. I didn't start reading bass clef until I started playing cello, and I'm a bass player. So
Right. And you didn't have the junior high music class? You didn't play?
sorry, it was freezing there for a
No
sec.
problem. You didn't have like a junior high or high school music class?
Oh, no, I
Ah,
played clarinet in grade school and I took 6 months of piano lessons. So I could and so I was very good at I'm very good at reading treble clef and I could read treble on guitar, but I for some reason I just gave
yeah.
up on bass clef and I just wasn't dedicated to learning how to read music. I just wanted to play, you know? I just wanted to just jam with people. I didn't care for reading music before.
And what got you to cello? Like, is it just an itch to expand, or
I think it's like the most beautiful sounding instrument for some reason. when I listen to cello, like, and I don't realize, or I didn't realize how many songs I actually love that has an undertone of cello in
Right.
it. And now when I like, if I look back, there's so much. It's they actually say the cello is the closest instrument to the human voice.
That's interesting. Yeah, that would make sense. I always think of
Mhm.
the cello as a bit of a hidden instrument in that it so full, but it's not in your face. And it's kind of
Yeah.
like a lower frequency. I mean, I know obviously it's a lower frequency because of the low note, but it's just kind of like a little bit more subconscious and a little bit more there and important, but not center stage. Unless you have, sometimes you have people going nuts and they're obviously on show. But for the most part, I kind of think of it as a background kind of thing. But incredibly important to the music. Do you agree with, first of all, do you agree with my assessment on it?
I know I do, and I think it's one of those instruments that you probably don't realize how much cello you actually know. Like every
Right,
movie score, every like it's just there. Like even all the classical music I'm listening to right now, I know all the songs. I'm like I never actually went
that's
out to listen to them, but
right,
because they were in so many movies or it's just been in the background and all the cartoons back in the day.
right.
Yeah, I think
So
that a lot like it's just you're right though, but
do you
it
think
isn't
that you're kind of drawn to it because does that speak to your inner being at all?
I think it's like I also think it's the saddest sounding instrument.
Right. So does it, like, in general, like, is what I guess what I'm asking you is, does what draws you to it, what makes you up as a person in a way? And if you don't have to answer that if I'm going if I'm getting too personal,
Um,
or am I just overthinking things?
no, 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 no. I'm very open. Um, yeah, no, like I said, I feel like it's just one of those instruments that when I listen, I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
you're frozen.
Oh, I'm frozen. Am I back?
Okay, you're back. Oh,
I'm back.
sorry. I think it might be me. We just switched over.
So you
Um,
said you played clarinet, and the clarinet was it? Am I right? Clarinet, and the clarinet didn't really stick,
yep.
right? And now you've got guitar that stuck.
Well, that was actually
Go ahead. Are we freezing?
yeah. Clarinet was because everybody had to play an instrument.
Right.
Oh no.
Are we
Yeah,
freezing?
but I did I yeah. Oh, it's this freezing thing. But I did really enjoy it, and then I ended up playing bass clarinet too, like because I think I played from grade 4 to grade 8,
Yeah.
and in grade 8 I played bass clarinet. I feel like the instrument I hated it because it was so heavy to carry home every day. Um, but which is funny because I ended up like bass is my main instrument,
Right.
and but so it's funny that I played bass clarinet as well, and then but I fell into bass, right? Because acoustic guitar was my first choice. I loved the sound of acoustic, and then when it was time for me to join a band, like so what happened was I had been playing acoustic guitar, like guitar for a few years, 3 years, and at that point I said I just want to join a band. I need to join a band. I
Right.
was like obsessed that I needed to join a band, and there was an opportunity where there was a band but they needed a bass player,
Right. And it's
and
like,
so
it's my
Mondo
ticket
had
in.
already yeah, so Mondo had already started playing bass, so I actually took his bass to the audition for the band, and when I got there I was like, okay, how do I hold this thing?
Right. I'm a fraud, but I'm gonna do it anyway and get the gig.
And I think there's a couple of guys just freaked out. Like I didn't see their reactions, but I heard about the story after. Anyways, I was in that band for 10 years.
So you did
So,
something, right?
so
So,
yeah, but what happened was because I didn't know how to hold a bass. I'd never played a bass, but because I had been playing guitar for 3 years prior, they ended up giving me a chance because I kind like my singer would write song like okay, so first of all, they went through a run of bass players who were all either druggies, drunks, or just real flakes,
Right.
or just really busy.
Right.
And so my singer used to write songs on bass. So he would
Right.
write, and then any bass player that came in would change his bass lines, right? So this was
Right.
perfect for them because I would play exactly what he wanted me to play because
Finally.
I didn't know
Finally.
what I was doing,
You're
right?
reliable. You don't change things up. You're there. You're that's
And it
fantastic.
helped that I was like a female too, like
Right.
you
Sure.
know, just like that was part of their. I think if I was a male that walked, like honestly, like if I was a male that walked in and said, "How do I hold this thing?" They would have just said,
Right.
"Get out of here," you know. So but because like I went home and so after every rehearsal, and we were practicing 5 nights a week at the time, I would go home like after a 3 hour, 4 hour rehearsal. I would go home and like learn what was taught to me the night before, practice in the morning, and then go in completely prepared, right? Because I just wanted to learn how to do this thing, right?
Yeah.
So and I think that was why they kept me, is because I was obsessed, right? I just
That's,
wanted to learn how to do this thing.
so who's better, you or Mondo?
Oh, me, absolutely. No. No, Mondo is like Mondo doesn't practice as much as I do, right?
Right.
Like I think he like yeah, I don't think I've even heard him pick up the bass since because he's now moved in here too.
Right.
Yeah, but he like he can play. He can play.
Yeah.
He's
Oh yeah.
just
No. Well,
he's
I saw him play live.
yeah.
So
Yeah, but he doesn't and he doesn't I don't think he tries different styles as much. You know, he's more just like your kind of
right.
uh punk punk bass player, right? Like
Right.
yeah.
Right. So where do you think you're going musically? Where are your interests? I understand you want to play uh, professionally, or you want to do this
So
for.
I don't want to be a professional musician. Like that's not I mean I could like I mean I wouldn't say no neither. I kind of want to blend in. So my last job, or for the like, so I lost my job during pandemic. But I used to do leadership and management training
Yeah.
for a travel company,
Okay.
and in that, like, so I developed. So okay, to how do I describe this? So I did a lot of leadership training, and for that company, I developed a women's leadership camp, like a
Yeah.
4 day
Great.
camp, and where I helped. Like a lot of this camp was all about helping women to go outside of their comfort zones, to do things, to look for find ways to be courageous, build confidence, that
Mhm.
type of thing, right?
Yeah.
And that was my passion project. Like I loved like so I am a instructional designer. I design and facilitate training programs. So that was
Right.
my job. So with that, now what I've really been thinking about, it's funny, I talked to Shira about this the other day, is I really want to find a way um, to combine like the whole courage and confidence stuff, finding your
Right.
voice and expressing yourself through music.
That's that's phenomenal. I that's like there's so much to it. I mean, with the music, like the way we talked about the way it makes you feel, the way it's your friend, the way it influences things, and the impact that it has on people, and you know, confidence and all of these sorts of things. Yeah, I think that's and I love that idea. Love it.
So I've got to see it in action because I for the last 5 years I've been volunteering for Girls Rock Camp Toronto,
Yeah.
and so that's basically where you have 8-year-old to 16-year-old
Oh
girls,
man.
and they walk into camp. Usually, a lot of them have never played an instrument in their life. Some of them have. Some of them are return campers, and they can either play bass, guitar, keyboards, or drums.
Yeah.
Okay, so they pick their instrument, they get music instruction. So I've been a bass and guitar teacher for them for the last 5 years. I've also been a band coach. So after they go in for music instruction and they get that first, so it's a 5 day camp. Every morning they go, they get some music instruction, and then they get put into bands. And by the end of the week, the goal is for them to write an original song. And then on the Friday night, they perform it to their friends and family.
That's incredible. Like, first of all, I'm a huge camp guy. Like, I love camp. I think that camp
I've
is
noticed.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of the people, you know me from the group, from the music group, a lot of the people are, friends from that area. So I love camp. I also was a baseball coach. So I know that the idea of having something to focus on, and music or sports or acting or whatever it is, where kids can gain confidence and understand that they can actually do shit.
Yeah, and these camps are incredible. Like it's not just music. Like I said, it is teaching them. It is encouraging them.
Life lessons.
Exactly. And at the same time, they have classes. They have a gender fabulous. They usually have a gender fabulous workshop where a trans person will come in and they can ask any questions.
Right.
They have a body positivity workshop where it's all about being accepting of all shapes and sizes of bodies. They have a workshop where somebody will come in and tell them about the history of women in music. And then at the same time, they also get to create a fanzine. They create their own merchandise. They silk screen their own merch and sell it at the show.
Yeah.
And so in this one week, like they're learning so much. But like, I think the most important thing that I've noticed is seeing these kids perk up, especially when you see a kid who comes in so shy and can barely talk to the people around them, and then at the end of the week they're playing on stage and rocking out for their friends and family. It's like
That's
incredible.
that's awesome. That's so good. So I'm just kind of like thinking about our discussion. I think, we're kind of running out of time. I don't want to
Yeah.
keep you all day, and we probably should all do this. And you kind of like your journey, you kind of started with being in like depression, having mental health issues. And I know those don't go away. We're all struggling with all of those things. But when you think about like through music, and I just saw you being like so passionate and so excited and so forward looking, and it's all through music. Like, how remarkable is that it's just this vessel for that can take you from the lowest lows, inspire you, and do all of these things. And I think that just this discussion here has been sort of, I outlined that. I think that's, to me, that's so exciting.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why, like, I really believe that music inspires. I believe it can create change. It can transform people, and I've seen it. And I think if there's anything like it's hard for me to define exact network for me when it comes to music, but I think it has to do with the transformational aspect of music. The fact that when like just the act of creating something, that I think builds confidence as well, right? It, like I said, it connects you. There's just so many great things about music that I believe can make and makes a huge difference in the world. And
Absolutely.
I think that is that like that's what I want to do. I don't want just a day job anymore. I really want to do something that inspires me, where I feel like I am making a difference as
Well,
well. And I
I,
think
I,
that's
I
what music's about for me. So
I have no doubt that you're going to be successful in that. And not only in that, and for helping you, I have no doubt from what I've heard from you that you're going to inspire others to maybe get from their lower places to higher places and use you as a role model. And I hope that that happens. And I hope, as we continue to be friends, that you'll report back on all of these great things. I think that's fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. You still think you're at 85%? I think you're higher.
Maybe I'm at 90.
Yeah,
Ever since I lost my job, all I do right now, like because
yeah.
I like my pandemic time has I all I do is play music. Like if I'm not playing music, I'm teaching my mom how my 84-year-old mom how to play
That
piano.
was beautiful. That was great.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
thank you so much, and I look forward to hearing back from you. And this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
yeah, that was thanks for asking me. This was so fun. It was fun to explore.
Great.